Hey, what's up guys? Sean here. So one of the questions that I often get is, what do I carry in my day pack? And to be honest with you, it changes depending on where I'm going. But today I thought we would just sit down and talk about a few of the essentials that I think should always be in your day pack. So first off, the pack. So this is a very, very inexpensive pack that we got off of Amazon years ago. I actually have a video on this pack that I will link up here. But this pack is very lightweight, doesn't weigh much, and it's done everything I needed it to do. It was very inexpensive, and I have carried this thing a lot. So it's a Venture Pals day pack. It's nothing special at all. So the only thing I'm looking for in a day pack like this is I like to have a couple of outside pockets and water bottle carriers. So that way I don't have to open and dig through for water. And so as far as that goes, that's really all I'm looking for in a day pack, because I'm not trying to carry a ton of weight. The straps on this thing are fairly thin, but they are padded a little bit, and it does have a chest strap. So that's pretty nice to have. Not a huge deal, but you can do anything from just a little school backpack or what have you. I don't really personally care for the little drawstring like gym bags, because they don't have these outside pockets. But for me to have the outside pockets on it allows me to sort of kit up my bag. So many of you know that I'm a kit guy. I like to have my little kits, first aid kits, fire kits, things like that. So this sort of allows me to keep everything in its own spot, and which makes it nice to be able to find in the future. So on these outside pockets, I'll show you what I have in here, and I'll kind of explain to you what I feel like is essential. Let's just start actually here. So one of the main things I think when you're going out on a day hike, I suggest a 1 liter bottle of water. You can get the little 20-ounce bottles of water, but I just don't think that that's enough water insurance, is the way I look at it. So depending on where you're hiking, it may not be that hot, but you always need to stay hydrated. And I would prefer to have too much water than not enough water. So a 1 liter bottle, I can sit there and drink and not have to feel like I'm having to ration my water. And that's pretty important, especially here in Florida or your southern areas where it's going to be hot for the most of the time. Water is an essential item. Along with that, in this front pocket here, I have a Sawyer squeeze. Now this Sawyer squeeze, as many of you know, will mount right to the water bottle. So in case of an emergency, or if I run out of water and I'm on the trail, and I need to replenish my water, this is something that I can just fill this water bottle up with. I don't have to worry about trying to sit there and filter the water out. I can just fill this water bottle up, put this on top, and drink straight from the water bottle. There are a lot of options out there. Life Straw has the water bottles now with the filter inside it, just like the Platypus water bottles or the Katahdin water bottles, or Katadyn, however you say that, have the filter right inside the bag where you can just fill the bag up and drink out of that. Those are nice options. The Grail is a nice option too, although I feel like it's pretty bulky and heavy. So that's something that you just have to work out for yourself if that's something you're interested in or not. This is my go-to for this water setup. Now, in this front pocket also, this is I apologize for the noise. I'm right here. I'm at a park right here by the road. So this is a bag for batteries and such, just for filming. So along with that, in this bag, I have a few other items here in this front pocket. This is a just a small ditty bag. It has some cordage in it, different pieces of cordage. This is that SOL tender cordage. This stuff works really good, actually. I also have a big lighter in here, fire, with some tape wrapped around it. So the tape, you know, you could use it to repair gear as an emergency bandage. These work, you can make butterfly stitches with this. Lots of stuff you can do with that. And then in here, this is just a small kit. It actually is a little fishing kit and a gear repair kit. So it has safety pins in it, a needle, some fishing line, hooks, and stuff like that. So just a super simple little kit there. Now in here, this is going to be kind of controversial, and some of you are gonna give me a fit for this. So you guys know that I am a proponent of knowing how to build a fire, knowing how to find your natural resources without having to have all these man-made hacks, I believe. And that's something that I am a huge proponent of. But in certain situations, like a day hike where you have to build a fire, chances are on a day hike, if you have to build a fire, it's because things went wrong. And in that case, I carry just an emergency kit that's going to make it super simple to get a fire going. Now in this kit, I have some little cotton balls in here. These aren't actually Vaseline cotton balls. There's just some cotton in here. But I carry these in here. Now this is something that I made. I've actually got a video for it. I'll link it up here as well. These are the DIY mini infernos that I made. And these work really, really well to help you get a good fire going pretty quick. And you can make these, and a ton of them will pack up in there. And what I suggest is cutting it into quarters. So each one of those little pads would get you 4 fires. And it's super important to know how to build a successful fire. But these will just make it a little bit quicker, a little easier, and a little less stressful to get your fire going. Because like I said, chances are if you are building a fire on a day hike, things are already stressful enough. So next up in here, I've just got, in this front pocket here, easy access, just got some little snacks. I got spicy Thai chili tuna and a beef stick. Nothing super exciting, but just a little something to keep the munchies away. And that's in this front pocket here. Ease of access, make it easy to get to. On the top here, the very top pocket, this has my first aid kit in it. So this is a very simple first aid kit, but I do have a few extras in here. So in this kit, it's a first aid kit. I do have a whistle in this first aid kit. I've got some pain relievers in the first aid kit. I have a backup lighter in here. Always have a backup lighter. And some of these blister pads for your heels. That's something that you should always carry in your pack, or Luco tape. Something like that, because, you know, getting out on the trail, getting a few miles down the trail, and all of a sudden you rub a blister on your foot can really ruin your day, where you just carry something small like that, and it's going to make your trip a whole lot more successful, a whole lot more enjoyable. And because I'm a coffee guy, I have emergency coffee in my first aid kit. It's a first aid, guys. So that's my simple first aid kit. It's got little fire creams and bandages, or burn creams and bandages, and some gauze pads and certain things in there. So pretty much a simple first aid kit. So that's the top of the front pocket. Also in here, I have some of these little mosquito wipes. For your hiking, I think it's essential that you have something like these mosquito wipes, because you never know. Like I said, if you're building a fire, you're probably having to stay later than you wanted to, or something has happened. And at nighttime, the bugs can get horrendous, especially around here. So these mosquito wipes are essential in a day pack, I believe. Now, you never know what's gonna happen, right? TP. TP is essential in your day pack. If things go awry or something happens, you just don't feel good on the trail, you know what I'm saying? TP, essential in your day pack. So this is not an end-all be-all for day packs. This is just what I feel like is essential to me to have in a day pack. So let's recap real quick. I've got my fire, I've got water, I've got some cordage, I've got first aid and TP, I've got my bug wipes. So let's get inside this pack real quick, take a look at it, and I'll show you what I carry inside. Okay, so I have added this Wise Owl 3-in-1 hammock to my kit. As soon as I get another one of those ultralight hammocks that Walmart has, this will be coming out of my kit, because just not a huge fan of it, but I know some of you might really enjoy using it. But anyway, this is in my kit for now. This is a hammock, it is a tarp, and it is a poncho. But what I would use it for is a hammock, basically. It's what I think it does best. So the little Wise Owl 3-in-1 hammock is in there. Now, I have, to go along with that, my poncho. Now this, I believe, is the Arcturus poncho. It has the grommets on it. So this is good as a rain protector for me and the pack, because I can just throw this over top of me and over the pack, and it works great. But it also will work as a tarp. So if I had to, I've got my tarp here and a poncho here, and I could get off of the ground and be protected with this poncho. A poncho, to me, is much better, in my opinion. It's much more versatile than having a rain jacket or, you know, a rain suit. So just my opinion. So I have a cover element here. This is going to help me stay dry and regulate my body's core temperature. So one of the good things about this too is if I was to get cold, I can kind of wrap up in this like a blanket and help hold my body heat in. So it's not as good as an emergency blanket, but because it's waterproof, it will help retain your body heat. So got that. Next up in here, I always carry my Tough Possum sit pad for a couple reasons, honestly. My Tough Possum sit pad is a good signal panel. So if I had to, I could throw this up on the edge of the trail. I could wave it and get some help or something like that if I needed to. The other nice thing about this is it makes my pack more rigid. This pack doesn't have any rigidity without this in there. So it makes the pack more comfortable. Plus it gives me somewhere to sit on the ground if I have to, where, you know, if I don't carry the hammock, or if I don't have trees to set the hammock up at, I can set this on the ground and sit on it and keep my butt off of the ground. If the ground's wet, I can set this down there and keep my butt dry, or set it on a log, make it more comfortable, again, keep my butt dry. So this is a nice thing to have. I like to keep this in my pack, and this always goes in my day pack. So this is essential to me. Now, in here is something that I just recently added, and I don't know that I would consider this essential, But I do think that when I'm on a day hike, I do like to have some things to do in case I am down for a little while for whatever reason. So in this little Tough Possum pouch here, I've got my Write in the Rain notebook so I can take notes. I could leave messages if I had to, and that sort of thing. I've got my compass here. So that compass is invaluable to me to know direction to travel. So I can set a bearing and I can travel in a particular direction. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But also just something to kill some time while I'm out there and beef up my learning. I've got my Essentials of Wilderness Navigations by Craig Caudle. This is a great book. And this is just something to have with me when I'm out there to help, pass some time. And if I had to, this would keep my mind off of things that have gone wrong or, what have you, something like that. So this is not necessarily essential, but this is something nice to have in a day pack. Now, talking about the compass, I am a firm believer that you should learn how to use a map and a compass. At the very minimum, when you go to a new trail, you should sit down with a map and figure out your backstops. That's a whole other video that we need to make. But your backstop, just quickly, is if you know that from the trailhead, due south from the trailhead is a major road, and you know that it is a mile from the trailhead due south. That's a backstop. If you know that east of the trailhead is a major river that's going to go under that road, that's a backstop. So you have points of reference, and even if that river is 3 miles from where you're at, you know that with this compass, if you go due east, you're going to hit that river, and if you follow that river down, you're going to get to that road. So these are just ideas for basic ways to use your compass. But I'm a proponent of you learning the correct way to use your compass, orienteering, and make sure you know how to use it with a map. And having a map of the area, not the little map that you find at the kiosk. Those things are almost useless. But having a map of the area you're in, like a USGS map of the area you're in, is key to being able to use this compass effectively. But as much as I like to push that, most folks are not going to use that. Everybody is going the way of the GPS, right? The problem with GPS is your phone can die, the GPS can die. Like I use GPS too. I use the, all trails and things like that. But your phone can die. You can be in an area that has no service, and whether you believe it or not, it will affect your GPS. So one of the things that I always like to do is when I'm going to an area that I'm not sure about as far as service and things like that, I download the map of that area offline. Make sure you download the map of that area offline. That way, if you do not have service, for whatever reason, you still have that map on your phone, on the GPS, that you can use to affect your travel and get out. All right, so last up, I touched on this earlier, but I have this kit bag here for filming. But in this kit bag, I have a couple of things. I have my headlamp. So this headlamp is invaluable in case, for whatever reason, it's taking me longer to get back to the trailhead. So something happens, you twist your ankle, you get lost for a little while, who knows what happens. The fish are biting, but that's a whole other video. But this headlamp will help you be able to see and stay on the trail if you need to. If you know you can get back to your vehicle, but it's getting dark, you need to have a headlamp. But the headlamp, just like your cell phone or your GPS, they run off of batteries. So I'm a firm believer also that in my Daypack, I carry a battery bank. So this battery bank is a 20,000 milliamp battery bank. It's probably overkill for a Daypack, but because of my filming and stuff like that, I carry this with me because it will charge my phone a few times and it will charge my batteries plenty of times. Plus, all of these things have the same cord as my headlamp, so I can charge my battery-powered headlamp as well. So I feel like this battery bank is essential. So the essentials out of my kit, let's talk about that real quick. I have water, and a way to procure water is essential. I have fire, and a way to build fire is essential. I have shelter, a way to stay dry and keep my core temperature up, and also try to be comfortable if I had to stay. That's essential. First aid and hygiene, essential. These bug wipes, if you get out there and the bugs are bad, you will realize how essential these are. My compass, my GPS, a map, those things are essential. Now the rest of the stuff I've got here, this little pouch here, not necessarily essential. This, not necessarily essential, but they are nice to have. Now, depending on the time of year, I would add a puffy jacket or something to keep me warm in this kit. But in Florida here, typically that's not a huge deal. But depending on where you're at, that may change. So, but the things that I consider essential in my kit are water, fire, shelter, my first aid and hygiene with my bug wipes, my navigation, and a headlamp. Those things are gonna be the essentials for my kit. Anything else that I add to it are accessories or are comfort items or things like that. But these are the things that I think are essential to have in my kit. I almost forgot my knife. Now, I know a lot of folks think that you don't really need a knife when you're hiking and stuff like that. But I think that having this blade is essential because if for whatever reason, you know, I do end up needing the essentials out of my kit to build a fire, to, you know, repair gear, what have you, set up a shelter, this little knife here is going to make all of those things much, much easier. So this is the Victorinox Ranger Grip. This has become the knife that I reach for to put in my pocket every time I go to the woods. There's a few reasons for that. It has a really nice, good sized blade, stays razor sharp. It has the saw blade on there. It's not huge, but it's super sharp and it works really well. It has an awl on it with a sewing eye. So if I had to, I could sew some gear up with this. It has the tweezers on it. So if I got a splinter or something like that, I could effectively get the splinter out or even remove a tick. But this thing here is a great addition to your pack, and I do not think that you should head out in the woods at all without a blade of some sort. This is just my preference. You guys can have your own preference, but this is mine. So that's going to wrap up this week's video, guys. As you're watching this, Greg and I are on the road to PA. We're headed to Knoebels, and we will be there Saturday the 24th at Pavilion C. We'll probably be there from about noon to 4. So if you're watching this and you're in that area, please come by and say hey and hang out with us for a little while. But we are on a grand road trip now, so I hope you guys learned something from this video. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, if there's something that you consider essential that I don't have in my pack, please leave it in the comments below. Go check out those other videos that I posted in the links above, in the cards above. If you like this video, give it that big thumbs up for me. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down there and ring that notification bell so you get notified next time we put out a video. You can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next week.